Great.
Hi, this is Jill Riley with the Pacific Northwest Conference, and I'm happy to be here with you today and happy to be with Andrew Kruse from Praise Covenant Church in Tacoma. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Doing good. How are you, Joe?
Good, good. It's good to see you. So Andrew is the youth director for Praise Covenant and recently held a conference in May for youth mental health, and it was called Planting Hope. And we wanted to talk a little bit about this today. So Andrew, first of all, tell us a little bit about your kind of your passion for mental health for youth.
I've been working with youth for 15 years and really love when we can guide them with practical and biblical solutions and also equip them for how to make their own lives and the lives of their peers around and friends around them better and also and one thing we've been encountering just so much since the pandemic is this topic of youth mental health and anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation. All these things that are coming up just seem, and so we wanted to come up with an opportunity to invite our church, the community, and other churches around us to partner for this youth mental health conference. So.
Great, great.
Yeah.
From your viewpoint, how do you think the pandemic affected our youth?
Yeah, well, I think number one, it just made everybody feel very isolated. And I think it made them afraid of sharing like how they're really doing, like because they're just figuring that everyone else is probably fine or everyone else is probably worse than me, so why should I bring it up? And also, I think sometimes the stigma, that is attached to approaching the issue of mental health, whether that's, and especially in church.
Hmm.
And that's where we wanted to kind of start at because, if the house of God isn't addressing it well, like, then we can't expect them to go out into the culture and know how to, work through some of the issues that are going on with their own peers and in their own schools and other.
Why is it that it is harder for us to talk about mental health in the church?
Historically, the church has just kind of had an issue with uh, social science, and then also we've somewhat, supernaturalized mental health also, like, and so another part of it is we're afraid of getting it wrong, like we're afraid of not having, we know that we don't have the resources that we should, or that we'd like to, and so we don't want to give somebody the wrong assessment or wrong evaluation. So we are just more, I think, more and more pushing people to counseling services and mental health services and things like that. And those are appropriate things. There's appropriate times to do that. A lot of them could be resolved through good self-care. A lot of them could be resolved through having communities of care and by pointing people to the right types of therapy that they need at the beginning, rather than bouncing them around from thing to thing,
Right.
hoping that they'll find a solution. So
Well, and you're right. Mental health has gone from a point from where the church in its earliest years would care for those with mental instability and those who are having mental problems to completely outcasting them to now we're trying to figure out a way and how to talk about it and manage better. So, what was the Planting Hope conference? What did you guys do? What kind of topics were you addressing?
yeah, what we did was Friday night we watched a documentary called Anxious Nation, and it was just highlighting the issue of teen anxiety. It didn't provide a lot of solutions to the issue. It created some question of like, well, why watch a documentary that doesn't provide a lot of solutions? But the purpose for that was so that we could launch them into the next day,
Hmm.
to be able to hear about what hope-centered, Christ-centered solutions to addressing mental health. There was breakouts for parents and youth workers, and there was a youth breakout session, and it was a really great mix of people, but they all came really with a Christ-centered background to, talk about, like, we don't have to live from a place of fear, like, about this topic. We can actually come to a place where we're developing resiliency, and where we understand that, like, you can be diagnosed with mental health issues and still, like, be a functioning person that loves God and serves him, and has purpose and meaning in life. That identity often that comes wrapped in with a mental health diagnosis isn't how God, like, sees us. And then also that, there's invitation that Jesus gives us, like, as believers, to rest with him, to to kind of reimagine what ministry with people who have
Mhm.
mental illness, or mental health issues, could look like. And then also just trying to give people community resources to check out on their own, and be able to become more educated,
Good.
through that.
What can parents do to help their teens be more comfortable with talking about their mental health?
Well, first off, parents can talk about their own mental health.
That is
And they can identify where they need help first, because
mhm.
kids will sniff out the inauthenticity, or just like that you're kind of cruising for some answers, like. And if you haven't done your own work, then it's really hard to ask kids what they're doing. And I think the one way that we show up, that we show how we care, is by being present to people. And that means just listening flat out, like, without any opinions or any Bible verses that we're, like, wanting to
Yeah, or
give to people.
judgment or
Teenagers are today are the most overprogrammed and overstimulated generation that we've ever had. And
absolutely.
so when church is a place of rest and a place of non-anxiety, and you create that through how you schedule things, and how you allow for that downtime and relationship building to happen at church. That's what we can do, is we can keep tabs on what's going on in your life. And that's, with I do that with a small group of guys every week. We just do high lows, like, what's been a great part of your week, what's been a bummer part of your week. And sometimes they're funny things, and sometimes they're really serious. and
Yeah,
and creating that space where it's like, it's not a teaching moment, it's not a time for me to, like, give my 2 cents about it. It's like, okay, like, now I know what to pray for, I know what to expect when they are coming to a program. Like, if they seem super disengaged and they've had a bad week, well, there's no surprise there, like.
right, right. Well, is there one particular resource, be it a website or a book or a documentary or anything that you would point anybody to say this is a good place to kind of start informing your own conversation?
I'd say that one that's been really good for me is NAMI. They're a nonprofit, and they actually do a they do many of their chapters do a faith outreach to churches,
Right.
and try to get people involved to come together and really talk about mental health in a faith space. And so I'd say, they've been a good resource, because they kind of channel, like, everything from people's stories to, like, statistics and things like that,
Right.
that can give you kind of an idea of what's going on in the state and in the country, like, to be
Yeah.
able to have some legitimate resources to speak from.
Well,
um,
and that's the thing about NAMI is they really hub a lot of resources, and
mhm.
so if you're going to start somewhere, they also can help you just find kind of dial in and find resources that would be maybe specific to your situation or your quest for knowledge. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your ministry to our youth and for being a part of this conversation, for really
Yeah.
kind of spearheading this from your church. And I just really appreciate you serving in the way that you do.
Well, thank you.